And the Scrum Development Team, SDT as it is called, or Scrum Team, simply put, what does that do? What does the team do? They estimate. The team estimates. Remember, I was telling you about the waterfall type where the customer would dictate when he wants to do something, when he wants, what is the deadline. The project manager would actually tell you that this is what I want, when I want this particular piece of work. Rather, in Agile and Scrum, the team does the estimation, and we have gone through all the estimation methodologies, how they do it using planning poker, Moscow, and all these things that we did, the important versus urgent, all those things, the technical feasibility versus business viability, all those techniques. We have been doing it in the last week in the part of scoping and prioritization session, right? So you understand how that is done, estimation. So we don't want to go in detail about. So once they estimate, they commit to the estimates. So the commitment is important. They can commit to it because they did the estimation. They are comfortable. They know the background. They know whether the server is up or down, whether the data is available in the database or not, whether a particular piece of code has been written already or not. So they know that. They know the background, and therefore, with that full force of confidence and the ability, they could actually commit to what they say. Yes, I can deliver this in 3 days time, or I can deliver this in the sprint. Yeah. When they say that, they're saying that with full force of confidence and ability, because they work, they know, they've been working on this. They are the people. It's like going back to the example I was giving about the painting your house. You can't ask the CEO of the painting company about how much time it takes to paint your house and how much cost it would be. You need to ask a painter, because they know, they are the people who've been doing it. They know the ins and outs of it. The painters are the people who actually paint your house. They know how many, what are the kind of resources and tools they would use, as a brush or a roller, whether it is what type of a paint, how many rooms, and all these. Depending on this, using their experience, they would say, they would give an estimate, and they would, depending on that plus or minus, they would say, yeah, it would take roughly about 10, 2,000, 3,000 pounds, plus or minus some 500, 600 going on, depending on if you are buying the paint or me, or I buy the rollers and blah blah blah, right? They are saying, they are doing the work, they've got the good knowledge of that, and they are going to commit to that. They're going to work and they're going to finish the painting of your house. Same with the team. The team is doing the estimate, the team commits it, the team does the implementation, the team does the testing, and the team does the deployment. Everything is done by the team. Obviously, that is the reason why they can actually deliver it in 2 weeks time or 3 weeks time instead of 2 years, because they didn't have any control back then in that days. A lot of things that are completely out of their control. Whereas with, for example, even the deployment and delivery with DevOps, I think that's something which I would actually again take another series of courses. A DevOps environment, the team doesn't even have to depend on the infrastructure or the IT support team. They can actually deploy the build like that. Once it is tested, it's good. They can actually move it from the development through to the test. It's good, tested, validated, verified. They can directly put it in the pipeline for the production environment, the live environment. So customers can actually get to see. Everything is in the control of the team, right? Very, very powerful. So when you talk about the team, again, they do the estimate of the complexity, the sizing of the work, the scoping, the effort involved, and how many story points in the case of stories. They do the they assess that would potentially work down into who can do what work, right? So they would say, okay, for coming up with the item details page, I need to have one front-end developer who could actually work on the HTML page for the presentation, for the page to be shown. I need to have a database developer, backend developer, to work on the database and get right queries to actually pull the data out of the database and show here. And I need to have an API person who can call this. So a person who is familiar with the middleware APIs to be able to call this. I need to have a tester. And so basically, who is telling all these? The team themselves. They'll organize in them their own context. Nobody's actually telling them how you should do the work on this, the mobile phones, the mobile accessories selling website. If you want to develop it, the team themselves are going to kind of organize, and they're going to assign the tasks within themselves. Nobody's actually telling them what to do, right? So that way they can clearly organize this piece of work, and they should be able to, all they need to know is, okay, in this sprint by November we should release this the catalog page, guys. I also need you to understand that I want the first cut of this to be shown to the product owner and the customers by, let's say, the end of the first sprint as a showcase. So they know that by the end of the first sprint, they need to have the item list and the item details page ready. They need to have the items coming in, the data coming in from the database tables into this. So they should have something in the database. They also know that they should test it all thoroughly, back end to front end, because there's a lot of things that could potentially go wrong, connecting to the database, data being wrong images being used, and things like that, right? So they do all this. They need to know, have the testing. They do the unit testing, integration testing, system testing, functional testing. There you go. End of 3 weeks, you've got this to be ready to show to the customer and the product owner. It's not going to wait for 14 months like how I did. I used to work, and the team I used to be part of, we used to deliver it a good 3 months, 4 months. And by that time, things would have changed. So yeah, Agile definitely rocks. Determine technical design and architecture. So again, they work all these things, the detailing, the design, what is the front end, what should be the UX, what should be the design, what should be the layout. So they work with the designer team to come up with the colors, the branding, the layout, and everything. They work with the architects to come up with architecture in terms of the blocks, in terms of what lies in the front end, in terms of the distribution, the components that need to be shown, the controls that need to be used, whether you're using any plugins, blah, blah, blah. All of those decisions are being taken by the team. It's not by somebody else, which is the beauty of this again. Commit to work to accomplish an iteration. Again, the commitment is from the team. As we discussed, the team estimate, they will commit and they would deliver, period. Implement, test the functionality. Again, it's all done by the team. Development and testing and validation, verification, everything is actually contained, self-contained within the team. And deploy functionality to production and staging. So again, this deployment, as we discussed with DevOps, they can actually push it into the pipeline, and then the testing, it would go through those 3 environments: development environment, next to the test environment, and finally the production and live environment. So it's all the way through, straight through. And support automation to build continuous pipeline for delivery. Again, this is what we're talking about, DevOps. And also improve the processes continuously. They would help improve the process continuously because they're working. It's their baby that they're working, and it's actually they're trying to take care of the baby. They're trying to make sure the baby gets all the nourishment, nurturing, make sure that they get the attention, the baby gets attention. So there is a sense of ownership here, right? Which is completely absent in the waterfall about 20-30